Welcome back to Spitfire Engineering. I'm Gavin and this is episode 9. Now this week we are continuing with the build on the 4 conveyors to go to France. We've got the latest updates on the oil screen that's going to Birmingham. That is nearing completion and looking pretty good this week. And also I go later on this week to David D and jprojects. I'm working with the Struggler and we're going to fix Dave's shredder. So let's make a start on the week. So it's Tuesday and I'm in the yard, and like buses, orders for mini screens come in 2s. So as it stands at the minute, we have got stock of our standard E21s. I think we've got 3 in stock at the minute, and we've got 2 E21Cs to be built that are in build. Now we've sold one of them. We had a phone call yesterday from a guy that wants to screen animal food, I think it is, animal food. He wanted a 21C, but we hadn't got that, but so he's now having a standard 21 as a hire machine, and if he gets on all right with it, he'll end up buying a 21C once the new ones are built. So in theory they could both be sold. Then this morning the phone rings and somebody else has just said, I want a 21, I'll come tomorrow and I'll pick it up. So the lads are now getting this ready. This is the one that's going out on hire. So they're just putting the meshes in for that to go out on hire. And then after that, they've got to get another one out, put meshes in that, because that one is actually sold and that one is going tomorrow. So we've got Connor back on bucket repairs at the minute. This one is a bit of a rush job. We've got about 7 or 8 of this customer's buckets in the yard at the minute, but apparently they've got 2 14-ton machines in their yard ready for hire, and they've run out of ditching buckets. So this is a rush job to get this one done. I think this one is just straightforward. Floor in the bottom, 2 new pins because they're worn and bent. Bucket's not very special, to be honest, but it is still worth repairing. So Connor's just whipped them out with a plasma cutter, and then he'll just weld a new bottom in there, and then that can go back to the customer. And we're still waiting on the PO for the other buckets. But as I say, this one's urgent, so we're going to crack on with this one so they can have it back. So in the main workshop, the lads this morning have stripped this frame down, and as you can see, it's a bit easier to work on now. So Stefan's just fitting up the handrail. He's already fabricated the handrail, so now those are going to be fitted onto it. And then, like I say, we'll continue around here with the walkway. This is actually the walkway that's on here. So this here is the walkway. So you can see where that's going to be now. So Stefan's done the handrail that goes all the way around the outside of this. And then once he's done that and got that finished, we've got the deck screen to go here, one here, and then one over there going that way. If you remember in last week's episode, we were making the 2 big conveyors to go to France. Well, they've now been painted and started to be assembled. So we've got the rollers in here. So the belt is going to sit on these rollers. And then underneath as returns rollers, we've got these disc return rollers in here. And the reason they are like that and not flat is the belt has got a flexible sidewall on it as well as straight cleats. And when the belt is fitted, which is not next week but the week after, the belt company is booked to come and fit these up, you'll see the profile of the belt. You can't use straight rollers. So we'll film that when that happens. Obviously not in this episode, but will come up in the episode in a couple of weeks when they're fitted. And then because of also the sidewall on the belts and also the straight cleats, we've got these rollers here. So the belt will come underneath these rollers here, and that's what will hold the belt down to stop it from lifting up at this point. Because as you know, these These are currently in their transport position. This isn't in its actual working position. When it's actually in position, this here, this bottom edge here, will actually be down on the floor. And then this other side here, this will come up. So it's only in this position. It makes our life a little bit easier to assemble in this position, because you're not putting gearboxes on at height. It's all at nearly ground level. So we'll build them up into this position and test run them in this position. And the next time these will be in their working position when they're up will be in France. So we've got that one nearly built up. We've got the frame here for the second one. And that is just having its panels painted. And then that will come around here and start to be assembled. These have been brought out of the workshop and just pushed to the side for a minute because they're getting on with some other jobs. And I think there is a bit of a saga on the bearings. The shaft on the bearing was designed for what you would probably say as standard bearings, but the ones that our supplier has supplied has got an eccentric locking collar, which means we need a longer shaft. So Paul in the office is now trying to find normal bearings that will take the plastic cap. It's the plastic cap that's the problem. You can get hold of whatever bearings you want, but bizarrely, the plastic cap bearings we're really struggling to get hold of at the minute. So he's trying to sort that job out. I think we've sorted it. Our backup plan, if we cannot find bearings with plastic caps on, we will do metal guards, but we're trying to avoid that and use the plastic guards on these bearings. So we'll see how he gets on. So Dan and Neil have been putting together the subframes for the two smaller conveyors. That is the full length of it, so you can see this is actually quite a bit shorter than the last one. So there's two this size and two of the bigger ones. So what they're going to try and do this afternoon is get these subframes, get this subframe finished and get it dry fit up with all the panels on it. And then the other subframe over here in this welding bay, this is nearly done. So this is currently in two halves. That piece and that piece there leaning up against the wall. So once they've got the other one built up, dry fit, they'll come onto this one. So hopefully by tomorrow afternoon we should have both small conveyors dry fit, all put together, fabrication finished, and then it can all go off to paint. And then we can start the final assembly, which is quite nice to be honest, because as I say, the belt people are booked to come to us a week on Monday, on the 5th. And usually in those situations, we're a bit behind and we're always scrambling to the end. But actually for once, I feel quite comfortable on this build that we're going to be waiting for them, not to go around. Colin's got the plasma cutter running. What have we got in here? 6mm, 5 or 6mm plate. Looks like we're cutting lids for some sight boxes that we do for a customer. I think they've placed an order for 4 sight boxes. Basically it's a metal box that they put in the ground. This is the lid for it that's being cut at the minute. Those slots there are the handles at the end of the lid. There should be one the other end as well. There is. So those handles are there to lift the lid on and off, and basically it's just a metal box that we make. We've done quite a few for this customer now. We must be doing nearly 50 for these guys now in the last 12-18 months. So regular little order that we get off of them. So I was hoping to catch Connor welding this bucket up, but he's actually just finished as soon as I walk around the corner. So he's just whipping it out. It's the workshop now. Gonna put it outside the paint booth so we can put some paint on it. But that bucket is now finished and repaired. So that's the higher screen off now. That's going to Wales to screen animal feed. And the other one is still in the yard awaiting collection. So that one should be going today as well. So, just walking around the workshop, thought I'd give you a little roundup of where we are on the screen frame, the twin deck screen for the oil company up at Birmingham. So I'll just spin the camera around. Steph's been really busy. I'll show you how he's got to on this. So as I said earlier, the frame has been lowered down now, the bottom sections have been taken out, and Steph has pretty much got all the handrails and walkway in place. So we've got kickboard at the bottom. Obviously when we've designed this, we've been conscious of the fact that there is going to be oil about if there's a spillage and people get oil on their feet. You know, we just got to be conscious of that. So we've made sure that the kickboards are nice and high, so that if anybody drops anything, slips or anything, they can't slip through the gap. So we've made them higher than normal. Full box section frame with bolted together joints where the different sections are. So we've got bolt together sections here and the bolt together sections here. So this section will be dismantled as a section, and then this section here has also got a join here and here and over the far side. So this is made up in 3 sections. So you've got this section here, the corner section, and then this section here, and then this will be the landing that the stairs comes up and onto. So Steph's just finishing that off, and then the next job is going to be for the frames where the deck screens fit here and also around the other side. So we're just finishing off the handrails and the walkway, and then we'll make a start on the deck screens. Steph and Dan have got one of the small conveyors being mocked up at the minute. So this is a similar design to the bigger ones that we did last week in last week's episode. But obviously they're a bit smaller, a bit more manageable, shall we say. So the legs that I was making in the end of the last episode, they're here, they've now been fully welded and they are fitted. They're currently sat on 2 bits of 100x100 box, because in that hole there at the bottom is where there's going to be some adjustable feet. So we just need a bit of clearance under that leg for the adjustable feet to be able to be screwed in and out and adjust the height depending on what the floor conditions are like when we get to France. So they're going to get this finished off now. Got the side skirts to put on. And then this one will get dismantled and go off to paint. Morning all, it's Thursday morning and I am on my way out of the yard. Today I am going to a conference about AI, artificial intelligence. Now that's not normally something I would go to, but it's cropped up quite a bit recently, and Andrea and Lauren in the office do use a bit of AI to generate some content and different bits and bobs, but I do think it's an untapped resource that as a business we need to probably take a bit more seriously. So I was offered to go to an event to tell me all about AI. It might not be relevant for what we're doing, it might be massively relevant, But I think you need to have your eyes open to these sorts of things when you run a business, and just see if there's something there that we can use in the business, probably make us better at what we do. So I don't know, I'm going with my eyes open and we'll have a look. In other news, speaking to the landlord about the roof down the side of the workshop, and it's not quite as easy as I thought. So it looks as though that is something that is currently being looked at and is not going to be a quick fix. So still talking to the landlord, trying to find a way forward on that, and hopefully it is something that we will do in the future, but is not going to be a quick fix. So I've had a meeting this morning before I've left with JMO and Archie, the two team leaders in the workshop, to see what we can do to change things around in the workshop, change the layout of the workshop, change how we go about doing things in the workshop, to see if there's a more efficient way that we can work. And the plan that we have made is we are going to remove the mezzanine floor that's in the corner of the big workshop, which was something that we were planning on doing anyway, but that's just brought that forward. So we're going to get rid of the mezzanine. Now underneath the mezzanine is the tea room for the lads, the canteen, so that's caused a few issues that we're going to have to get round. Now the unit next door, which we are taking on, the landlord wants to put a new roof on it before we move in, which is fine. You know, it does need a new roof, but obviously we don't know when that's going to be. He's got a company coming in to do that, but we just don't know when that's going to be. So we've got a lot of items that we don't use that often that we are going to store, that we store on the mezzanine at the moment. So we need to find a home for that. So I'm working on a plan for that, and then also in the new unit there is an area there that we anticipate using as the new canteen when we've got rid of the current canteen and the mezzanine. So we're going to see if we can utilise that area in the new unit in the meantime whilst the roof is being done. So that's the plan that we've made, and we've also made plans around how we go about the work in the workshop, because at the minute we do lots of big projects at the same time, and it's causing problems with floor space. So we've also talked about doing less big projects at the same time, but hitting the projects hard when we do get them, so they're in and out as quick as possible, which is probably the best way to do it anyway. But as a business, you always like to keep things going and try and keep the job moving as best you can, but we probably just need to be a little bit more regimented about how we go about it, and just make sure that we start a job, we hit it hard, we get it out the door, and then we start the next job. So they're the changes that we're looking at making in the workshop, and we've made a loose plan to start putting it all in place. And now Archie's ringing me. Doodle?
Hey up, Chuck.
Hello. You're on camera, by the way.
Oh, fair enough. Well, I won't say what I was about to say then.
I know you can do. We'll edit this bit out.
Oh, fair enough.
All right.
Cool, yeah. Alright, spot on.
All right, mate. I'll see you soon.
Thank you, bye-bye.
Bye-bye. So that's where we are with the latest workshop update. Now, the other day I had a phone call from Dave at D&J. Now, anybody that's been watching his channel will see that Dave's having trouble with his shredder again. He's got another shaft broken on him. Now, the other day, Dave sent me a message, and it's the professional struggler doing a video talking about wedgie plates and a pulley and a thingy and a jiggy. Anybody that knows a struggler knows that's the sort of thing that he does. Got all of that, and anyway, there's a shaft broke on Dave's shredder. Dave said, can I go up and weld it up? So I said, yeah, not a problem. This was the other day. I was a bit busy the day. We've got nobody else available to send because they're all flat out in the workshop. So I need to ring Dave and arrange to get up there tomorrow afternoon to see if I can get it welded up for him, and then see if the struggler can come and help put it back together, because he took it apart. So let's see how we get on. Morning, mate.
Morning, mate. Good way to get mentioned on my video if you ring me this time in the morning. I'll video it one hour.
Do you know?
I'll cut you short.
Do you know what? Every time I ring you, because I know you film on your phone and that, I just think, I wonder if he's filming.
and that's why he doesn't answer the phone. I wonder whether he puts it on silent or whether I'm just ruining his videos.
I'm filming this morning, mate. Filming.
Oh right, okie dokie, fair enough. Are you about tomorrow afternoon?
Yes, mate. I'm yard bound 2 days.
Oh yeah, all right, that's fine. So I was going to come and do your shredder tomorrow afternoon if that's all right.
Oh, brilliant.
So, are you going to try and get professional struggler in there to sort of put it all back together, and I'll help him, or do you want to do it yourself, or what do you want to do?
Yeah, I can get it, mate.
But I'll aim to leave about 11:30, 12 and get to you for 1 if that's all right.
Yeah, I'll tell him that time then. That'll be perfect for him.
Yeah, all right then, mate. Not a problem.
All right then, buddy.
All right, mate.
See you tomorrow then, pal.
See you tomorrow, mate. Bye-bye.
Bye.
So that's it for my AI conference. Just leaving there now. It's got to join the queue to get out the car park by the looks of it. But my mind has been blown by AI and what it can do. If you cast your mind back to years ago, if you're old enough to think what it was like before the internet and how much we use the internet now in our everyday lives, you'll realise that in years to come, AI is going to be the same, and it's got lots of possibilities. We already use it in the business now, and I've got some ideas of how else we can use it in the business to make us a better business. So I'm going to head back to the yard now. I might just about catch the lads before they finish for the day, but I'm back in tomorrow morning, and then tomorrow afternoon I'm off to D&J Projects to weld up their shredder. So let's catch up in the morning. So it's Friday morning and I'm in the yard. Didn't manage to get back here last night. M6, as always, bumper to bumper traffic. Didn't get back here till late, but I'm back in here this morning, Friday morning. So let's just give you a quick roundup of where we are with certain jobs going on at the minute. The 4 conveyors to go to France, there's progress on them. So let's just flip the camera around and I'll have a look and see what we're doing. So the 2 big conveyors are now mostly put together. The belt people are booked to come a week on Monday to fit the belt to these. So we're in a nice position on these now. Still got the tail drums to go in the other end that go in that slot there on its adjuster. The bed rollers are in. These rollers here, and also the returns rollers. That's these black rollers underneath. So everything is in here for that. The head drums are due back early next week, and they will fit in there. I'll show you them when they come back. And the gearboxes are also here all ready for these. So as soon as the head drums turn up, we can put the gearboxes on. Vibrating motors and the suspension units for the oil screens is here. These are the tail drums for these conveyors. If you look at these tail drums, they are slightly tapered to the middle, and we do that on our tail drums because in doing so, because it's got that slight curve over there, it centers the belt. When the belt's on, tensions it in the middle, and it just stops the belt from wandering. So you set it in the middle, tension it up, and that just stops it from wandering. It's not unique to us, other people do it, and we've done it for a little while, and it just helps with belt tracking. So that's the 2 big conveyors. One of the smaller conveyors is also being built up over here. Fortunate with the weather at the minute that we can do it outside. So that one's being built up in here. Got a pallet of rollers. And in the workshop, the 4th one, which is going to be the last one, that's just having its final dry fit. So the lads are just fitting all of that up. They're just doing the greedy boards in the top. And then what they'll do is they'll mark the holes and drill it down onto the subframe. And then this one will be off to paint, and this one will be assembled next week as well. Steph's just welding up these 2 frames. These are going to be the frames that the box sits on. So the box will sit in here, and this is for the oil screens to go to Birmingham. So Steph's just welding these up, and then these will get lifted and put on the frame that you can see in the background and positioned on there. And then we're cracking on with that job then. There's still the stainless steel tanks to make for that, the stainless steel distributors, which will go where you've got the screen box here. There's a stainless steel distributor that goes on top that's got a pipe fitting onto it, and the oil will go up into that box and then cascade down onto the deck. And these two plates either side, so you've got this plate here and that plate there with the two holes in it, there'll be a piece of steel coming up and going across like a goalpost, and the distributor will be attached to it on that. So the distributor doesn't actually attach to the box. The box is independent, sitting on the mounts here. So you've got these mounts here, same the other side, and the same at the bottom. Those suspension units that I've just shown you outside on that pallet, they will bolt onto there, and the vibrating motor will sit, just move around here so you don't get sparks. Vibrating motor will sit on top, and that's what's on the pallet outside. So just in the small fabrication workshop, if you remember earlier on in this episode, I showed you some material being cut on the plasma cutter that they got slots in that I said was for handles. Well, that's actually one of these. You see it's been folded up at each end. And these are the lids for the sight boxes that we make for a local customer. I said we've made quite a few of these now over the years. So the lads in the workshop know what they're doing on these. It's a fairly straightforward job. So that's the lid. And then these are the boxes. These are the two halves. These two started off as a flat piece of steel cut on the plasma, and then it has these folds put in it on both sides, top and bottom. Don't know if you can see that. So there's a flange top and bottom, and then it's also folded to 90, and then these two pieces here get put together to form a box. So that bit will go to there and form the box. And these are the boxes tack welded together. This is actually upside down, so a flat plate gets welded to this top face. Well, top face at the moment, as I say, it's upside down. So a plate gets welded onto here to cover the bottom, then the box will get flipped upside down, and then the lid that I've just showed you sits on the top. So we'll probably get some GoPro footage in the next episode of us welding these once they've been tacked together. There's 4 for this order. We generally do 4 at a time. So yeah, keep watching. Next episode, we'll get some more footage of these being welded. As I said, we're at D&J's this afternoon, D&J Projects, and Dave has got more problems with his shredder. Now, if you looked in previous episodes, I welded something on the rotor, the other side of the machine last time, with this side this time. So the engine drives the belts to the other side, which is what we welded on before, and turns the cutter inside, the cutter drum inside. And on this end of the shaft, there is the hydraulic pump, which
which drives this conveyor belt. And what's happened is, in the past, this has been welded on here, and the weld has failed. So what we're looking at doing today is just cleaned all this up, and we're going to weld that in there. But I've got some help. The struggler is here to help me put this back together because he took this apart. So we're going to put it back together. But I've come to do the welding, and then we're going to put it back together. So we're going to get set up now, get this welded on here, which is going to be tricky because we need to weld this shaft on so it runs true, but I've got to try and get around that, so I'm not sure how successful this is going to be, but we're going to give it a go and see if we can get it welded back on here. And we may have to, when this machine comes into us to have the other side repaired, we may have to take this back off and redo this side here. So let's see how we go.
Well, you ain't got halfway yet. A bit more, then you'll be halfway. That's it, about there. I know, it's not good, but I'll put all that on. Yeah, it's got one more. Good on that. Well done there then. We have a different little road shed then, Marley? Yeah. Let's go.
So as you saw a minute ago, we were just checking because I tacked it in 3 places, but what we needed to make sure was that there was no wobble in it. So used a bit of chalk to mark the high spots, tapped it with a hammer until it ran true with a piece of chalk on it, and then I've just welded it in 3 places and just extended the weld to try, because when you weld, the heat in the weld could distort. So I've gone round with a root run with a 2.5mm rod, and then I've used a 3.2mm low hydrogen rod to give it a nice strong weld. It's always a bit tricky when you're welding around a circle because you're welding uphill to probably a little bit to start with, then you're going flat and then you're going downhill. But I've managed to do it in 3 different places and just extend the weld around. So hopefully now when we run that up, that will run true, or as true as we can get it anyway in this sort of situation. So what we've got to do now is we've got to drop this cradle back off, split the bearing, because this disc has now got to fit on there, but we can't get that in because there's a groove in that disc that locates in there. So we've now got to take the bearing back off, pop that back on, put it back on, and then we can get the pulley and the belt back on, and hopefully that's the job done.
Oh, David, look! He's there now. He's keeping an eye on us. Tiny heels. Poor Lido. Poor Lido. He's been rushed off his feet today on a Friday. He can't do that, not in traffic very well.
We'll have to miss nothing.
Yeah.
Gavin's there, look.
Oh Jesus, got all three of you up there now.
Yeah. The thing is, if you put anything in, you've got to be really selective there what you put in there. That's the problem.
Yeah, it's different to what I thought it was. The blade, yeah. Yeah, I see why it rattles around then.
So that actually went better than I expected, believe it or not. To get that shaft as true as that, I think we actually did quite well, to be honest. I expected there to be more wiggle in that than there was. Went really well. Just gone and had a quick drink with Dave and Chris in their local, Dave's local, and just heading back now. And that is it for this episode. So thank you all again for watching and subscribing. Leave your messages, any messages. Always good to get the feedback. And I will see you next week on the next episode. In the small fab workshop, we've got Connor repairing this 14-ton dishing bucket. Needs a new floor in it, and now the phone's ringing. Deep joy. Call David White.
Calling David White.
Hi, you are through to the jprojects. Sorry,
Well, I would call Dave if he'd answer the phone. I'll wait for him to ring me back. Keep going. And now pull your left-hand joystick backwards. Right-hand joystick backwards. Keep going, keep going, keep going. Okay, now come back a bit. When you strap it on, you've got to say, that's not going anywhere. Only real men say that. I'm Gavin from Spitfire Engineering, and this is episode 9. This week in the workshop, we're going to do more brushing our hair down because the camera person is telling me that my hair is sticking up. So I'll just do this gently. So